I'd like to call this a joint city council finance committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Jose Grijalva,
Here.
Councilmember Aida Pedrego,
Present.
Councilmember Jose Montaño,
Here.
Councilmember Gustavo Durazo,
Here.
Councilmember Ray Shelton, Councilmember Maria Dillman, Councilmember Richard Acosta,
Present.
City Manager Ana Urquijo,
Present.
City Attorney Nick Cook,
Present.
City Treasurer Alejandro Martinez. Thank you.
Call the meeting to order. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And
Chair Pedrego,
present.
Member Moreno,
Present.
Member Gomez, Member Watson, Member Cordova,
Present.
Ms. Terry Dillman,
Present.
Alejandro Martinez, City Manager Ana Urquijo.
Present.
Thank you. Item 4, persons wishing to address the council or the finance committee in writing or verbally on any item not on the agenda. Ms. Clerk, do we have anyone? Ms. Roscoe, do we have anyone?
No, Mayor.
Item 5, presentation discussion. Item A, budget presentation for fiscal year 2026 through 2027. Mr. Martinez.
Mayor, if I may, leading the discussion, and then we'll transition over to Mr. Martinez. So good evening, members of Mayor and Council, Madam Chair, and members of the Finance Committee. I'm here to submit respectfully the fiscal year 26-27 operating and capital budget for the city of Douglas. We do have a continuation of an approach for now the 4th or 5th year of principles of sustainability, efficiency, and strategic alignment, emphasizing responsible fiscal management while guiding targeted investments in projects that support Mayor and Council's vision. Our priorities for the last 5 years have been focused on infrastructure, downtown revitalization, managed growth and annexation, economic development, community amenities, tourism and special events, and transportation and roadway improvement. This budget recommendation provides the overview of our financial position. The recommendation reflects a balanced and responsible approach to managing the city's resources while preparing for future opportunities. The budget remains conservative. Its revenue assumptions are conservative, but heading in the right direction. So they are strong and they are positive and they are higher than last year slightly. So that maintains our commitment to sound fiscal management by supporting ongoing operations with recurring revenues and reserving fund balance for capital projects, strategic investments, and one-time initiatives that advance Douglas Vision 2032 and all of the priorities that I just outlined. This continued investment in infrastructure and all of the other priorities helps positions Douglas for long-term success while maintaining financial stability. This budget is the result of a collaborative effort by department directors, our leadership, the budget team, whose dedication and expertise continue to strengthen the city's budgeting process each year. I appreciate their hard work and thank Mayor and Council for the continued vision, leadership, and commitment to the future of Douglas. With that, Mr. Martinez will lead us off with a PowerPoint summarizing the layout of my memo that had been submitted to you late last week. Mr. Martinez.
Thank you, Ms. Urquijo. Do we have the presentation? There we go. Thank you. Well, good evening, Mayor and Council and members of the Finance Committee. Like we usually start, we start with our cash position. Where do we stand cash-wise as a city? This work.
Mr. Martinez, when you talk about it really quick, we have 2 new members or 3 haven't been. So I mean, if you could just quickly go over and summarize any like of the cash balances that we have here, how there was specifically some reserve for some accounts, just so by tomorrow when they talk about this, they could already be in.
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. So our general government cash balance as of the month of May is $18,391,781. Out of which we have some restricted money. And this time, per the mayor's request, I'm gonna go over each one of those line items to know what this money is being restricted for. We have the Alex Black Fund, which is money that we have set aside for. And I might have to get some help on this one, because is it fire related?
Yes, fire. It's a donation from a former fire enthusiast who donated after he was deceased in his will, contribution for this fund, and that's his name, so that's why we call it the Alex Black Fund. And it's particular in its use, and staff can help me remember what the criteria is, but it is for fire-related matters.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. The fund was specifically set up by his wishes for either fallen firefighters or injured firefighters to help their families with medical expenses.
And by restricted, what that represents is it can only be used for that specific purpose. We do have capital projects that we have in the books of $2,514,281 that are still pending. We have our reserve money for the PSPRS, which is to fund or cover any unfunded liability in our fire and police pension systems. Police savings for trainees. This is money we set aside to pay for trainees for recruitment of new police officers. And we have our court fines officer equipment. This is money specifically designed for that. Police forfeiture, again, money that's exclusively set aside for police that we have seized in the past. And we're setting that aside. We have, if you might remember, we sold the Rancho La Perilla apartments, and those proceeds went to the golf course per mayor and council's direction. We have 104,000 left out of that money to be able to use that. And we have some grant matching money that we've also set aside and earmarked in the amount of $1,035,741. We do have some pending transfers this fiscal year. Transfers are subsidies that the general fund covers. I'm sorry, that the general fund covers for other services such as transit, such as the golf course. So we still have $205,000 left in that. And then we have 3 policy reserves. These are sort of our rainy day fund. The 45-day operating reserve is exactly what it says, is supposed to keep operations going for the city for 45 days. That's $2,376,000. Our emergency capital reserve, if fire engine went down, and I always use this example, sorry, chief, and we haven't budgeted for a new fire engine and it's critical for public safety. This is where we draw money from. That's $2,181,000, but it could be any capital expense. And then we have our debt service reserve. This is 12 months worth of debt service or debt payments for a year. That's $3,261,000. So the total restricted cash is $15,855,000. If you follow me to the table on the right side of that slide, that leaves $2,535,871 of unrestricted fund balance. Then from there, we have originally this past fiscal year, we set aside $1 million for these specific purposes, which was council special projects, $150,000, Vision 2032. $200,000, strategic investments, $350,000, some IT improvements, $100,000, and then the boys and girls seat money, $200,000. We have spent some of that money. So we, out of that, what originally $1 million, we're still restricting almost $650,000. You take that 2.5 million that's on top of that right hand of the, right side of that slide, minus the 649 that we still need to restrict from the original 1 million, of strategic investments. That leaves us with a, unrestricted fund balance of 1.8 million, almost 1.9 million after the strategic investment commitment. We do have, per the city manager's policy, a $1.5 million floor. And we can go into that a little more in detail, but essentially what it is this is our minimum fund balance. We should never go below that 1.5. If we go by that, that truly leaves a fund balance of $386,556. So that's our cash position, and I'll entertain any questions on this slide. I know it can be a little complicated to follow, but
I have a question. Where does the paving money fall in this, the grant, the race grant? Where
yes.
does that fall in here?
So in this particular slide, we're setting aside some grant matching money for that specific grant.
But where is that money? That's what I'm asking.
That's in the grant section. When we get to the grant section, we can go over that and also the HERF budget. Mr.
Elaborate on that. So just for everybody, the race grant is a $23.5 million award that's reimbursable. So that money is not, it's not in our coffers yet. It's gonna get, as the work is being done, it'll get and in actuality, the project is going through ADOT, and ADOT will actually receive those funds and get reimbursed through them, but the work, as the work is being completed. So we will not see that money come in, but we will be managing the project along with ADOT as that project progresses. Right now, currently, it's in, they're about to select a design consultant. That's where that progress is at, and it'll take them about a year to complete the full design, and then we can go into construction.
Thank you. That was correct. The decision during the to ADOT as a pass-through, but I think your question to money for streets would be contained when we get to the section of HERF as well. Is that
Yeah.
what we were seeking?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that that money wasn't just sitting somewhere, but if it's reimbursable, then.
Yes.
Yeah, so this slide includes cash in the bank, money that the city has access to already, and it's in our coffers. That the grant most of the grants are reimbursable, like this one. And so we get the money as we spend it. Good
Thank you.
question.
Any other questions on this slide?
So the money that's in the bank, is that being invested? Is it liquid?
Yes, so our money is invested in the LGIP, which is the state treasurers. They pull together the money from different municipalities and they invest it safely for us, and then we get returns for that. All of our monies that we get back from the state share revenues, and it goes into that pool, and then we pull from that money as we need it for operations, but it is invested in the LGIP pooling.
Do you know the?
I would have to check the latest one. Do you remember what we were netting recently, percentage wise?
Yeah, I think right now, we're around the 2 to 3% return.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Correct. It's with the state treasurer, and they pull the money together and invest it.
There's a lot of rules around how cities can manage and invest their funds. We cannot go into risky type of investments. We cannot go very long-term. There's state statutes that govern that, so we can't really be too too risky with
I
taxpayers.
know our county treasurer does that, invest all our money first, she did incredible rate of return. But, do you have the ability to look at other sources, or are you pretty much fixed into where you can go?
We can look at other sources. We've done like CDs, short-term CDs in the past because we can't go past a year out. But yeah, we've done CDs as, actually the LJP was at 5%. We were getting great returns. As the markets are kind of starting to settle, we're kind of going at like I said, 2 or 3%. But their LJP does offer long-term investments that we can access. And we can do those long terms, and for those, we invest like those debt reserves that we have to keep for 20 years. We have to set it aside, you can't spend it. So we put it in these long-term funds and we get a higher rate of return, like sometimes it's 1 to 2% higher than the regular LGIP. So we have other resources that we can utilize as well.
If I may add, one of the nice things about LGIP, it is liquid, so we can draw from it right away. As CDs are mostly restricted and they have a term and you can't touch it for that term. As we need money for operations, we draw from it and it's in our operating account within a day.
Thank you.
And Mayor, Madam Chair, if I may, just for everyone's knowledge, the LGIP stands for Local Government Investment Pool. And it is across the state of Arizona available for cities. And just to Mr. Pedrosa's point, it is low currently and much lower than it had been in previous years. Going into this fifth budget, we have a section in our memo that mentions the loss of investment income based on that volatile rate that we have. But it has been good, but the answer is yes, we can invest outside of that.
Thank you. And just so we don't give the clerks, the deputy clerk and the city clerk any headaches, if we could speak into the microphone, because then they have to take minutes and get all our discussion on record. Anybody else before we move on to the next slide?
Our current sales tax is at 4% over budget projections through March, which is a very good number. And that equates to $328,330 over last year. Sorry, over budget projections. We are 3.1% over last year, or $256,344, again, as of March 2026. We still have 3 months to go. And we are projecting a surplus in the general fund revenues versus expenses for fiscal year 26. The graphs on the right side show you the comparison between the one on top. It's a little hard to read, but has last year versus this year, collections wise. So it is performing slightly over. And then the second bar graph on the lower part is where we thought we would be budget wise and where we are, which is the blue bar. Next slide, please. And again, stop me if you have questions along the way.
Mr. Martinez and Mayor and Madam Chair, I just want to point out before we get away from that section, there is a corresponding section titled Fiscal Year 25-26 Overview in the memo. And this handout that I just passed out references that section. So this is the section where Mr. Martinez last week reissued the memo and corrected 2 numbers that were displaced in the case. But we also found that the number wasn't picking up a full fiscal year and wasn't comparing apples to apples. So we did this as a supporting document so you can see the permitting both from a residential and commercial between this current fiscal year to date and comparing last fiscal year, showing a 13% increase and so forth. So I wanted to make sure that you had a little bit of supporting documentation on those numbers, the types of permitting that those include, which is at the bottom, and we will, when we submit our updated recommendation for the tentative adoption, all of this will be incorporated into a revision of that section of the memorandum. Thank you. Proceed.
So this slide talks about our projected revenue for this new fiscal year 2027. We just, the first, it's somewhat funny that we just got state share revenue final or the most recent projection. So the numbers under state share will change, but they will change in a good way for us. I believe it's over $70,000 in the general fund. So these numbers are not up to date as of maybe 20 minutes ago. But again, those are good news. They are still projections. It depends on the state legislature and a lot of things, but those are the final estimations by the leagues of cities and towns. So the numbers you see under state share revenues will change slightly in a good way. Those are the original estimations from about 2 months ago. We are projecting in our local sales tax $500,000 more than last year. Last year, we projected 11 million. We're now going with 11,500,000. Our current pace has us anywhere from 11.3 to 11.4, so we feel confident with 11.5 given our trend. We do have some property sales pending, mainly the property surrounding the airport, which is expected to yield 247,000 this new fiscal year. That will be used primarily for sewer improvements on the site. As Mrs. Urquijo mentioned, part of our revenue is our investment earnings, and we are projecting $400,000, and that's a decrease over last year of $200,000. Last year, we estimated 600,000 because of declining rates, because we're using fund balance, AKA our savings, to fund our capital, most of our capital projects. Then we feel that is an appropriate number at this time. And
I'm sorry, can I ask a question on this, on the property of the airport? So you're gonna use the money that you profited and put that back into improving sewers site or sewer infrastructure for the homes that he's gonna be built?
I will defer to Mr. Pedrosa on that, but more knowledgeable about the operation.
Yeah, the first parcel that they will be purchasing, we got direction from mayor and council that we can partner to bring the sewer, but through a route that benefits the city, that will connect various homes that currently are not connected to sewer. So we are partnering with them to basically say, instead of taking it through this route, go up a little bit and go down 9th Street and collect all those homes, hook them up into city sewer, and there's a mutual benefit there for the city and for the contractors pulling the sewer. So we share that cost.
Mr. Pedrosa, I have a question. How many homes are you talking about?
All homes from Van Buren to Airport Park on 9th Street are not connected to sewer.
And approximately how many homes are that?
I would say around 20 homes.
And we will get you a phone number.
And does that include the county islands you have, you know, which is out there by the airport also, but that would be like Quail Run, that area where the apartments or some of those homes are?
No, those are farther
Farther away.
away, yes.
No, I'm just kind of concerned, just, you know, not having a huge financial background, but usually when you sell property, then you get the profit. And any infrastructure is usually done by the person that bought the community, bought the property. So you're saying that the profit that you have made is going to be used to bring those people that are on septic tanks into the sewer system?
That's correct.
And then you'll provide us with how many homes are going to be?
Yes.
And that's just for sewers? That's not sidewalks or anything like that?
That's just sewer.
Yes.
So my question would be, how long do you think it will take you to recover the investment of bringing those homes into, the sewer system? Cause I know it's long term, right? You're gonna bring them in and it's money that the city will make year after year.
Yeah, so a good question. Thank you. So basically, what we would charge is a connection fee of $2,100 per home. And plus, $28 a month for sewer service. So I don't have the math in front of me to kind of be able to do that. And I did confirm it is 20 homes that would be, connected into sewer if this were to be realized. So just kind of doing the math of 20 divided by all that, we can certainly come up with the return on investment. But certainly, there's also an environmental aspect of septics kind of going, that waste being removed and being treated as opposed to kind of going into a septic system.
And
And-
do you- I'm sorry.
Have you confirmed with those home buyers that they're interested?
We have not, because this is not firm yet. We do have some design. We have done like a 30% design on this, but we have not yet approached until we have kind of signed the deal and made sure that it's a firm yes.
Can I follow up on that question just a little bit? That's in my ward, and I have talked to some of those people and they are interested. I mean, there's no paperwork or anything done yet, but that was part of the reason we went on 9th Street, because those people wanted.
Okay, that was my question, if you definitely think that they're gonna sign up for it.
My question, Mr. Pedro says, if the sale doesn't go through, are you still considering to provide the sewer for them?
It's still in our plan to do that, just the funding is somewhere we need to get that funding from. So that.
Because I would hate to tell the families, hey, you're gonna get it, and then if the sale doesn't go through, now you're not gonna get it.
Yeah, no, and I didn't tell them they were gonna get it. They just asked if it'd be a possibility to get sewer whenever. So they are interested.
And looking at alternate ways of funding are always good for the just in case, but we do really well on seeking opportunities over, the future grant cycles or requests, or we have other conversations we can have in this budget for projects like that.
So this is, Mr. Pedrosa, so the 247,000 would cover connecting them, correct?
This would cover it if we do the work, absorbing labor costs ourselves, absorbing machinery costs, but just material costs that would be very close to covering that. Yes.
Because I was gonna say, if we're talking about, I just don't think it's fair that people are part of the city and we're not offering them the basic necessities of being a part of a city. So like Mr. Martinez said before in the other slide, we have $350,000 of strategic investment. This should be considered a strategic investment. Because if we don't take care of our own, it's gonna be really hard to get other people to be part of the city and annexation when we don't even take care of the constituents we have now. So that's another funding, probably another funding way.
I think we can make a note of the first tranche of strategic investment in this current budget could be carried over because it's outside of funding, so that could possibly be a reserved docket for that as a possibility for future discussion. Because you have a second tranche or in this budget is not including your current fiscal year amount that has not been used.
Just want to clarify that 2,100 per connection, that's a law, a state law that we have to charge that amount whenever there's a new connection affecting the system. It's called an impact fee. We have to charge it regardless. So, but we could certainly work work with the owners on that, but I just want to make sure that that's clear.
Thank you. Any other questions before we move on?
As far as expenditures, we do have an increase in our general fund of 2% compared to last fiscal year. Some of the factors driving that increase is inflation, the cost of gas. We do have a cost of living adjustment for that we'll talk about in a few more slides. We also have some minimum wage increase that's expected for this upcoming fiscal year, as well as a adjustment in transit wages. Most departments, the average increase was 1.83%. Our transit subsidy, which is again the share of the general that the general fund covers to make the transit possible, it went up from 181,000 to 217,000 projected for this new fiscal year. Our subsidy to the golf operation, the golf course, has also gone up compared to last fiscal year. And then some of the major expense increases when it comes to departments within the city, finance department, we are implementing a new software for accounts payable to make that process more efficient. Police administration, there is a cost that police had to absorb due to a state change in the 911 system. We do have increase also in the city clerk's office due to the election this year compared to last year when there was no election. Development services also has an increase in its operation due to the support that we get from Cochise County for building inspections. The aquatic center also suffered an increase in its operational expenditures, primarily due to higher maintenance costs associated with the pools. And our recreation department also suffered an increase in its operational expenditures due to more programming and special events.
As far as the maintenance of the pools, do you have a contract with someone who's qualified and getting the chemicals? Because as you know, I'm being on the county, I don't know what you call myself, director of the county board of health. We had to close you guys down during the Memorial Weekend because of the larva and how bad this pool system was, right? And that's a real shame because that's what all the kids are looking for. As the first lifeguard of the aquatic center, I remember how many kids showed up there. So my question is, are you guys have somebody who's under contract? Are you ordering supplies? Because this revenue, you know, that you want to increase your revenue, having the facilities up to date and having good water and clean water and all that is going to be really imperative to you guys making money over the summer and having the enjoyment of the kids, right? To be able to have someplace to cool off. So can you inform us on what is the status of your chemicals and are you ordering it? Is somebody else ordering it for you? What's the situation?
I can take that, yes. Mayor, Madam Chair, and Member Gomez, yes, we do have somebody on contract. And the issue in Memorial Day was very specific to pump systems being down for over 2 weeks because we had to order parts from Florida. So that's it. It's maintained throughout. It's all good. But when the systems go down, except for the baby pool completely gets refurbished. The opening, and that was the issue of the water. That's expected because it's completely drained, it's clean, and it's flushed. But the big pool, the big size pool, the water stays in there year round and it's maintained constantly. We do have a contractor, and they do really find us savings because they order for us rather than because they're a qualified purchaser of those types of chemicals. So we find savings there, but because the water stayed stagnant when our pumps are not working, that many gallons of water, it just took time to get them circulated again and to get the levels back. We work very well with the county health department, and we're almost ready to go for this Friday. We have a few side projects happening that won't interfere with open swim. One is more shading structure that we're adding to the perimeter and over the pump room, and securing a structural addition, which is a diving board. So that won't interfere with it, but that's working also alongside the opening this Friday.
Right, well, that's good to hear, but definitely we should have, the contractor should advise you guys of things that are gonna be needed to be upgraded or maintained before you have a situation where you have this for 2 weeks.
So one of the things we're looking at is upgrading the pump system so we don't have to order them from Florida. But because we've made so many improvements, I think we're okay for now, but we have some of that extra funding in there too as well.
And what are you charging when you come for the use of the outside pool?
To
What do
the
you charge?
public?
Yeah, what is your fee to get in?
I'd have to
know?
check. I think it's $1, but many of it, $1 and $1.50, but many times we have free swimming as well throughout the season.
Thank you.
Just a comment to Member Eldon, you're not supervisor here. No, you're just like a finance committee member. You know, we should think about ordering backup. So if one goes down, we have the spare piece where we can put it in, or the contractor could put it in. Just so we don't have to wait 2 weeks, because I get complaints, you know, about the kids not being able to, or people from the gym that want to go use the therapeutic pool that when it's down. So maybe ordering backup so we could have them in hand.
Correct, we can do it.
And I just wanted to add, I think that is important. I don't know about the backup, but I think that's a great solution so that we don't go through this again, because 2 weeks, by the time it takes all that water to go through the filters and clean, it's gonna take a long time. So
Correct.
I believe that might be a solution, or we can come up with a better one. But yes, that was.
Certainly I do. We can make attempts to stock as much as we can, especially those typical parts.
And the only thing, Ms. Urquijo, is because, in the past, it was considered to just close it because of how much money was put in to renovate it. So to me, it really is important that we maintain it so things like this don't happen. So I just wanted.
It's maintained every day of the year.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that, because of my grandkids doing it. This has been well maintained because we've made sure to ask questions about it. So it's just one thing that has happened. So sometimes you got to take what you can take.
I
Something
understand.
like this
Yeah,
happens.
I understand that, but I also think that in government, you always are a step ahead. And
Oh,
so
pardon me.
part of the
Yeah.
contractor's, business is to make sure that all your equipment.
All
is up to
agree,
date.
but you got to take what I just said too. Thank you.
He doesn't speak much about the city.
Okay, on the transit subsidy, does Sierra Vista and Bisbee help pay for our buses to go up there and drop people off, or is it just Douglas people going to Sierra Vista and Bisbee?
We have partnerships outside of those that you mentioned. We actually operate the transit bus system under a contract. So that essentially is the partnership. They pay us to run their system. And Sierra Vista is not currently a partner. We are looking at other opportunities. We currently have Cochise College. We have Freeport, McMorran, and any others currently, and Seago. So those are the partners that we currently have.
So when our bus system goes to Sierra Vista and is driving around, are Sierra Vista residents getting on that bus to get around to?
We can provide a ridership profile to show how many stop, and I think we actually reviewed it during our budget process, so I'll make sure to send it out. I don't have it. Do we have Is there anything readily available to share? Yeah. But we have, Coaches College, it's been a longstanding partner for the Coaches Connection, primarily for students. But we don't necessarily have any partnerships for any of the other stops in Sierra Vista, and that's been a recent discussion. Some of the areas where the subsidies have increased, staff is focusing on some opportunities for partnership, including there and with.
I'm sorry, one thing to go on top of Dillman's question is we had a meeting of all the transit, about the transit situation because countywide, it's really at a deficit. And we talked about renegotiating. Douglas should talk to Cochise College. They only give $23,000 a year. That's not enough to, when you compare their ridership. You should also look at the hospitals because you deliver people to the hospitals, they give nothing. And also, I think when you go to Sierra Vista, you stop in either 2 or 3 places. And so Sierra Vista should be included and you should ask them for some money to contribute to your system. Because Seago actually came to us with a $1.4 million deficit. So this is a serious issue and we really need to approach those, organizations that use the Douglas system and ask for an increase.
The state definitely has less funding to allocate to all transit. So we are looking at things from a different lens, but the stops that we currently make at the Cochise Connection include Cochise College campus, of course, their transit center, and I believe the medical center. I think those are the 3.
And Ms. Urquijo, I also know that they go to the grocery stores there. Because a lot of the people tell me they get rides to the grocery stores.
And to Kathleen's point, I'll just say at least Coaches College puts in some for us to take them. The hospital doesn't put anything in. And then we drop them off at the Sierra Vista Visitor Center. So we're taking our taxpayer dollars and taking them to Sierra Vista. So I think they need to put in something. And if we stop going there, then it's an incentive for them because then their economy is going to suffer. I just can't be thinking of Sierra Vista people coming down here for whatever reason, unless they're going to go to Mexico or something. But I think they need some skin in the game.
We have conversations.
Any other questions before we go to the pilots?
Yeah, with that, I'm gonna hand it over to Ms. Garcia Pedrosa.
Thank you, Alex. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, finance committee members. I will touch on the personnel side. As far as for this coming fiscal year, we are not including a comprehensive market increase in this budget year like we did a few years back. However, we are addressing one classification, which is the transit drivers, because we have had the local market, they get paid a lot more at the Douglas School District versus what we pay initially. So we want to be able to gap that delta a little bit because we have had some transit drivers leave. So that's going to cost us $16,400. That also includes what we're calling a wage differential change that we're planning to put, or that we have put in the rules for mayor and council's consideration for the upcoming June meeting. So that's going to be in there as well. As far as for all other employees, we are including a recommendation for a 3% COLA for all non-minimum wage positions. And that came about because we have been seeing a minimum wage increase every year. It's been a few years where it's at least a 2%, a 3%, and the last COLA that we had for employees was a 1% a couple years back. So we want to be able to catch up a little bit here, and that's why we're recommending a 3% for all non-minimum wage positions.
I have a question.
Yes.
What would be the amount of that 3%?
So
increase?
the increase for the general fund, I have it right here, is 306,000.
What was that figure again?
306,000 for the 3% in the for employees in the general fund.
Is it okay to mention? So we were talking because of the transit drivers and the increase, it was just gonna be a 3% COLA all around. So with that savings that you mentioned from the state or the state revenue, that we were discussing just 10 minutes, 15 minutes before the meeting about, the firefighters, the first responders, firefighters and, police officers, that are entry level, you said entry level positions, getting a 2% raise on top of that. And I also, asked her to, also, ask Mrs. Garcia Pedrosa, for the finance committee tomorrow. What would the savings be, at least for this year, not to include directors and managers? And then next year, giving them, a raise. So, that way it's a little bit more balanced out, with the individuals that need the raises, especially our law enforcement, we're growing. So that way we keep them happy, because even when we had the police appreciation function, we learned that one of our young officers that went and worked for the federal government because of that incentive of not getting paid. So we need to take care of our firefighters and our law enforcement.
So Mayor, I believe we have those numbers, and yes, this was hot off the press. Just 20 minutes before we started, we received those numbers from the state. We had been working with our firefighter union, and we delayed their consideration of their request a month because we always get these revenue projections so late in the game, but it just so happened that we received them just before the meeting. So the additional $71,872 to the general fund as a result of the higher revenue projections could include entry-level police officers at a cost of $33,000 and entry-level firefighters, whatever's contained in the union bargaining unit, which includes engineers and leads, at a cost of $30,200. So that leaves 8,600 left from that 71,000 additional. It's not currently balanced in this budget, so we would have to readjust that for the tentative budget adoption next week. Those are opportunities. And then, yes, Ms. Garcia was going to look at, I think we said, because it was just 10 minutes before the meeting, at,
Anybody over 84,000, right?
yeah, if we can, we work on a step system, so it's not that easy to do anyone over a certain amount. It'll take us a little longer. But looking at the steps, so anyone at a lead level at step 32 or below is what she was going to look at. And I don't know if you have that number.
So for a range, 33 and above, if we don't give the 3%, we would be saving, it's about $42,000.
So that part would be a savings in the established balance budget, and then the additional amount that we've not put into the budget yet. These are other considerations for discussion.
So, if you don't mind me asking, when I asked about the fire and then the police, then you gave me, I think there are 40 some, that was including.
Directors, all the levels, all the storm positions. Yeah, so it's from top to bottom.
Okay. So in this one, it wouldn't be that much.
Correct. Yes.
And we call market adjustments, classification maintenance reviews, and in 23, 24, it's the first year that started trying to reach market again, because it had been many years. So over a fiscal year, to salaries to get everyone to market. And then we've taken a kind of a step back in the last year to
This last year.
is this
that we did.
next year. Because we needed to make sure that we could sustain that additional $1 million in new revenue coming in. And as you've seen, you know, it's inching along by 71,000. We're now above. So I think that's kind of a permanent, I'm hoping. And we can start next year adjusting to market again. This year, we were just trying to get really the preface and the justification for a 3% COLA is because minimum wage adjusted by 3%. So we have to avoid compression at the levels, and we have to distribute them. compression also occurs if we don't address all steps. But if we catch them up and this kind of leads the market adjustments this year, and then we set in next year to adjust the rest, I think that that's a proactive way to pursue as well. I don't believe that it would take 3 fiscal years to get us back to market because of the $1 million that were invested in the recent past. But two fiscal years depending on revenues.
And we're gonna get a new police chief, so we wanna keep the his staff happy.
My question is, and it's either firemen or police. You know, speaking with some of them is they feel their wages are low. Do we have a lot of turnover where they come train and then they move on?
And not so much in fire, but to address some other issues in different ways. Last year, we changed from a schedule, 3-5 schedule to what do we call your new schedule, chief? 48, 96. So they're no longer working 24 on, 24 off for a cycle of 3 and then take 5 off. Now they work 48 hours straight. And then they have 96 off. So that has been working very well, and they enjoy that, they like it, it helps retention. Because of the 96 off, and we don't restrict residency, we aren't allowed to do both fire and police.
By statute, we're
By
not allowed
statute.
to.
It allows someone to live elsewhere and come in for that 46. So the turnover for fire, this other measure that we took last year has helped. And we're also helping them in other ways for pre-cancer screenings and other opportunities. So I think we've made the mark there on employee morale. Police, we trying not to lag and just trying to be a leader. DPS and federal agencies and the sheriff's office, we do lead with speed levels, but not the other agencies I just mentioned. And it's a constant kind of, catch-up game.
Any other questions?
So for this fiscal year, we do have, some of you may remember in the past, we've done $1,000 for a one-time distribution during the Thanksgiving week. But this year, we were only able to afford $750 as the budget stands. Now, if we look at different components, we can be looking at if there might be enough to bring it a little bit higher, but I won't know until tomorrow when we look at some other numbers. But as it stands right now, the one-time bonus is scheduled at $750.
We've had the $1,000 distribution for a few years now, and the taking it back from 750 to 1,000 is about a $50,000 impact, just as information.
But I would see it as the employees more interested in a raise than a
Yes.
one-time. So
Yes.
personally, I would think if you give them the raise, that's permanent.
Mhm.
The 1,000, it's a one-time thing, and I think overall the raise would be, they would see it more beneficial.
Except for the weekend Thanksgiving. No, but no, I'm sure they will.
I have a concern about that. I mean, they look forward to the $1,000 raise. Being an educator, we get the 301 money around Thanksgiving. And we always get a little bit more every year because that's a different state tax or whatever they're getting from. Can we find a way to get in the $1,000? Because in a way, you want to keep the morale up here, and decreasing $250. It's quite a bit of money for them, especially around that time of year. So can we find a way to get the $1,000?
We'll run the numbers from the new state share and then the different scenarios of our fire and police to see how much it is we have left. And also with not giving the directors or anyone above a range 33, the COLA, the 3% COLA, or it could be a 1% COLA. We can check that out and for tomorrow, make a recommendation. And then of course to mayor and council on June 10th.
I'd appreciate that only because again, the wage increase is very beneficial. But again, overall, I think the morale, and we have great city staff, we have great employees here. I think we need to just, keep that in mind that the morale is very important if we want our city to be looking beautiful, the way the upkeep and all that. So we could just find a way to get them $1,000, please.
Certainly look at that. Thank you.
So Mayor and Madam Chair, if we look at the numbers I just gave with the 33 for police, 30,200 for the fire bargaining unit, and the savings of 33 and above at 43,000, plus the 8,600 that's left over, that gives you the delta of the 50,000 to take the bonus from 750 to 1,000. And then you're basically net neutral and at a balanced budget, very close again. So we can start there.
Yeah, because that's exactly what I was gonna ask, that this is a one-time expenditure, it's not. So even at the very least, like Mr. Acosta was saying, I would have been okay to, if you wanted to take it out of strategic investment.
Right.
And then we could have, because it's one-time expenditure, it's not operational, so if it's net.
It's another option,
I mean,
yes.
then that's fine, is that okay?
Yes.
Any other?
Questions?
Mrs. Moreno?
Who gets the bonus? Is it all employees? Or
So it is all employees we take a look at the picture 1 year back for each employee and determine if they were full-time, we're here for a full year, they get the full amount. If they were working part-time or started at a later month, that they were only working for 6 months, then they get $500. So we try and make it equitable based on the time that they have served the city.
for the past year?
For the past year, so all employees get a minimal, an amount. It could be very minimal depending on the hours that they work, and it could be up to the $1,000.
So a prorated amount
Mhm,
based on that.
yes.
And it's all in.
That's correct. Yes. And as far as the minimum wage for January 2027, it is going to increase again. So the state looks at the consumer price index in August for the last 12 months to determine the new minimum wage for the state. And looking at the latest one that's available, which was April, when we did this presentation, we were looking at least a 2.5% to 3% increase, which would be expected for this coming January, which translates to it's either going to be between 15.50 or 15.60 at a minimum. It could be more depending on how the inflation looks in the next few months.
And I know we're talking about how much it's gonna cost, especially with minimum wage going up. The easiest way to counter this is to have more businesses come, more sales tax come, we grow for people living here. I mean, that's the easiest way to to fix the problem.
As far as staffing, we did have some requests from divisions, departments to make some limited status positions that we have to make them permanent. However, this year, we're not going to be looking at any of that, but these will be evaluated next fiscal year to determine, its sustainability component, because we usually do limited status positions when we don't know if our program is going to work or if it's grant funded, if we don't know if that revenue that's going to pay for those positions is sustainable. So we start like that and then determine if there's going to be enough money in the future to make those positions permanent. So this year, no recommendation on anything, but knowing that for next year, it will be. We are making some adjustments to some of these limited status positions where we want to have an admin assistant in public works to allow the admin assistant permit technician to remain in development services. And we're using the vacancies from environmental specialists. We have reduced the budgeted amount for the annexation assistant to part-time. And we're using the vacancy of the 10 hours per week on the building specialist. And just want to rest assured that these are already operating like that. I mean, we already have the vacancies. We already are working the annexation assistant at part-time. We're not cutting anyone's hours per se. So that's going to be able to fund that change. And then the last component for me is our health insurance. So we have the self-funded insurance for our medical. We have been doing really well with our claims. We have been able to build a reserve of $2.4 million specifically for the health insurance. So this money is only used to pay for claims. If there's any years where we have some very high claims or any unexpected additional increases, we would use that money to pay for that. So it can only be used for health-related claims. And we're happy to say that for this budget, we recommended a flat renewal. So that means no increase for the city and no increase for the employees. What the city pays is going to stay the same, and what the employees pay is also going to stay the same. So that was a good thing for our employees. And that covers the HR-related component, and now we're going to do capital with our IT manager, Hoyt.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, finance committee members. Well, this is the current picture of the capital projects. The current amount for the capital this current year was 586,000.
Could you speak a little louder? Sorry, I can hardly hear you.
Sure. The current year for the capital improvement projects in this year is not listed here, but it was a 586,000. Then the completed projects, they're the 51%. They were a total of an amount of 32 projects, and we carry over in the other 32 projects, to next fiscal. Then that's you're gonna put it on the screen right now. Then this is the ones they're being completed. I think so. You have it in the attachment on your memo. Attachment A on the memo. Do you have the memo? Yeah. On the memo, yeah.
After page 14 of the memo begins attachment 1A. After page 14. Oh, no, that's your, that's
That's
your.
the presentation on the memo, on the other document.
Yes,
Yeah.
page.
Then if you see on the screen right now, the projects that are listed right now, there's the one being completed, Then they're from different departments, different areas. It's infrastructure, facilities, vehicles, any strategic investment if you see at the end of the screen. On the next one, you're gonna see the ones that are being carry over. Right now, you have it on the screen, then this is the one we're moving from this fiscal to the following fiscal year.
So many of these that are listed as prior carryover and current, some of these have been completed and are shown on the right side. Some are being carried over and some are being redirected. So that's the past capital.
Can you go back? Those are one with the color is the carryover projects right now you see on the screen.
All these projects. Rest of it. These are the ones that are being carried over. So
Yes, this is the one.
They were from last year or this current.
From this current year to the following.
That we haven't.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. To get completed, they're not being done for different factors, could be delays on the project. Materials, they're not allowed, they're not on time still. And also for strategic planning for having it done on the proper time, for next fiscal year.
The streetscape, but I wanted to ask the Food City building. I thought those repairs had been done.
That's remaining. That is still part of that, if anything's necessary there.
So
That's
there's-
from the initial allocation that was for those improvements, that's what's left.
Okay, so, but they were done, like the roads and stuff were done.
Right, there's minor things that could occur depending on, you know, waiting on final paint or final areas of, the kitchen, depending on the kind of business that we're going to entertain, so
Oh,
small things.
The majority of the improvements that are being done is just, this amount is for depending what it's gonna be used for. Then
Okay.
we have a money aside for be able to have those money to be able to, well, to accomplish whatever they're gonna use for, being used for.
Question, and this might be more to. Or Mrs. Urquijo, if you can answer it. So I know we put for Pet Park $20,000, but we really don't know how much it's gonna cost, right? So is that where the Parks Master Plan comes in? Would that tell us about where to do the pet park and how much that would cost?
Combined with Parks Master Plan, and there was a small amount that we carried over there. So all of our projects right now, what we really need to concentrate on is we understand the frustration of many capital projects start with feasibility, is starting with something to pay for a plan to then seek funding. Could be the airport park 2, it could be airport lighting, existing park, it could be a dome park, so many things on the plan that we haven't achieved yet. Better times are coming to be able to get all of those feasibility into place. As far as lighting for some of our parks, don't require feasibility, we can just go and get those done. We'll have a good projection and estimation of what those will cost. But to completely, for example, flip over park to the east and extend out double the size of a park with more fields, soccer fields and whatnot, then we don't have feasibility and studies for that yet.
Can you tell me on your airport museum, right? 45, what kind of improvements are you thinking of doing? Because that is a gem that the city has that we really, I don't think have marketed well. And, you know, I can tell you, having been using that park, and, you know, the Rotary has been, you know, trying to support it as much as we can. We really need to take advantage of what that has to offer and how the fact that so few people know about it. So what are you seeing as improvements for the airport museum?
Again, phased approach, because some of the big build outs, audio visual, kind of setting up the area, it's like a little section where the conference table used to be able to put a big screen and some benches with some headphones to actually have the stories narrated on the history of aviation. And they can have different options. That's one thing that we've been costing out. The other are just starting to replace. So we recently did the Moments That Made Us exhibits for the museum over here on G Avenue on our history. We want to do the same with the airport museum and start not replacing, but accommodating some of those sheets, laminated sheets of newspapers and storing them into encased showcase. I thought.
Yeah, because you have a lot of good stuff there that is getting a lot of wear and tear, so that would be definitely
So
good.
those were some of the things we talked about, where you can walk in either with a QR code or just sit in that alcove to listen to the stories, not just have to go read them.
And you guys are thinking, like, you reach out to Amelia Earhart, did a
Yes.
huge documentary, and I know there's a lot of the historical, like, women pilots that want that, you know, because the powder puff derby was a huge deal. And so you guys are going after the type of stuff. And then are you including some kind of a market plan?
So marketing wouldn't be here, just be capital, and events wouldn't be here either, but we have that because I think this coming fiscal year is the anniversary of the powder puff, so
Right.
we have lots to partner with on that.
Okay, thank you.
I just have a quick comment on cemetery beautification. When we had the Memorial Day ceremony, the ramada that's there is in horrible condition. The first thing they were telling me to look up because of how bad it was. So if we could fix that and also maybe, you know, maybe get a cost on, because I think it would be neat to, if we beautify that, put like a kiosk there and have community members maybe do like stories about our veterans that are buried there. And you could do like a visual, get somebody from the community to, you know, lay out their story with pictures and with audio, and so they can tell it. So I just thought that would be neat, but at the very least, if we could just fix up the Ramada there for the ceremonies.
We can make that change, and we have to. This amount on the carryover section is from the fencing project. For the perimeter, the fencing project, it's what's remaining for that, but we can go in and put some thought into what a cost is for that Ramada. We have some Ramada projects right now at Kazi Park that are looking really nice, so I can take a look at what that was and find that.
Any other questions about the CAMD?
I do, and it's off topic, but I don't want to forget.
If it has to do with budget, don't worry, still topic.
Have you considered hiring somebody to do marketing?
Yes. Yes, we've considered it. We've considered it. We don't have a full-time position getting in, trying different ways. I currently don't have any added FTEs in this budget. And we're just trying to find the room within our sustainable revenues to add that. We do have some possibilities for in this year for contracting out, because it doesn't fall into the budget as a full-time position.
Because when I drive down 15th Street, the street is looking very, you know, it looks like you guys are putting a lot of work into the 15th Street and getting all the easements on the roads. And I think people just need to know about that and a lot of things that are going on. And I think it would bring, you know, good publicity to the city. So, and then now there's other things that you might need it for. So I think that's worth looking into.
Because I think it's very important to let the community know, you know, they hear all the bad things, but we need to really promote the positive things that the city is doing. I just wanted to add on the Rivera building. I know because I go frequently to the building that used to be E&A Grocery. They call it Workforce now. But the Workforce, that building, there's mold. And I know that it's the building, it's a city building. I know it's rented out to somebody else, but the Workforce works there. And I was wondering, the Rivera building, there's more, well, there's not as much parking, but still there's some parking on the side and stuff, because they have the same problem over there. Not a lot of parking. But the Rivera building over here, if that could be made into offices for them, because right now currently, and I know because I send a lot of people to them, they don't have a place for a job fair. And I was just curious, you know, it's a beautiful building, the Rivera building, and it's right here. And I thought, is it any possibility that the city could, because it's up here, the Rivera building improvements? Yeah.
I think so. That one was related with the roofing. They did the roof and there's a remaining money for it.
Remaining money for roofing. So I can give you a little bit. The building is in what we call a phase 2 assessment under our Brownsfield Environment Program through SEGO. We're hoping SEGO is the new awardee for those funds that assesses and pays for the assessment to see next construction to get it clean environmentally. And then some of the opportunities for construction. The roof is done, but then we have to remodel inside it. It's a ways from being ready. And I think those are some of the investments that mayor and council can consider during opportunities. As far as the 7th Street, we do have a budget under our facilities budget for the 7th Street improvements. And I know we've taken care of the past of some HVAC, some wall issues, some mold issues, and we take care of them as they come. So I don't know of any current mold.
Yeah,
but
there is.
there's been some remediation on mold in the past.
Yeah, we'll look at the tiles and stuff. You can see it. So I was just curious because also I know when they have a job fair, they're always looking to go somewhere else because they don't have the room. And they set it up with computers and stuff. It's like I say, I go there And I was just thinking, because it is city property. And sometimes, what we give out, the impression, and I think that's important. So anyway, right now when I was sitting here, just thought if that could be a possibility, because it's bigger. I don't know how many offices they need. I obviously don't know how many they have. But this might be, because it's a big building. I mean, I used to skate there.
I'll add on to that because they did invite me to a job fair that they had there and they had to bring everything outside to the sidewalk on it was a hot day. So, that's, if we can accommodate them in any way, it should help them out. Any other questions before we move on?
Then, right now, we're gonna move to the available capital revenue. Then this is the components, for this coming year is gonna be, we gotta free up a grant matching for 654,000. Golf course carryover for 104,000. Drawn after the 1.5 million floor for 3,686. You see that on the first, slide, you remember the number came up is this number. We're getting as well from Raul Castro Port of Entry renovation project revenue, 1.2 million. And we're gonna deduct a new grant match for 120,000. That gives us 2.2 million for capital expenditure recommendation for this fiscal year.
Just as a quick.
Yeah, sure.
Comment. No, well, you could move
Go,
aside,
go.
but
Yeah.
I just wanted to say I'm very proud of the progress we've had with the golf course. We're looking to fix up the bar area, back nine's fixed up. Mrs. Urquijo announced that we're planning to at least invest around $1 million for the front nine. So that's gonna be an incredible asset and fix up the kitchen too and the area, we've been telling them, what we call the country club, right? Maybe putting television screens there, making it like an environment where you want to go watch a game, or when you have a celebration of life, you can have pictures on a screen. But we're planning to have it look very different by the end of next year. And I want to thank the MPC for that, for their help too. And also they've been talking about a rebranding on that too. So let's try to get more attention. So just wanted to talk about what the golf course is, what's happening.
Yeah. Can I add one thing? I think it'd really be cool if we could do a real nice gazebo out there for weddings, receptions, right? Maybe where the pool used to be. And make it really nice where people would want to have their wedding receptions there, all type of other things there. So that's always been my thought. And in the future, I won't be here, but in the future, I think, as councilman, but I think that would be neat. So that needs to, maybe next year, look at that and make this the golf course, not only the golf course, but somewhere to go for special events.
Mr.
Okay.
Shelton,
Yes.
back in the day, and I won't say when, but I remember there used to be weddings there.
Yes,
I wasn't around then.
wedding receptions. So anyway,
No, I just love that we considered everything else. I was like, that's very broad. If we could get a price on that gazebo that he's talking about, because I know he has until December. So if we could get that out there while he's still in office, so he could partake in the celebration as a councilman, let's make it happen.
A round gazebo.
Oh. I was gonna say God talking to.
No, a round gazebo looks nicer than the square one or rectangular one.
Did you say an amount, Mr. Lizarazo, council member? I'm sorry.
No, a round gazebo looks prettier and
Oh,
it's,
a round gazebo, got it.
yes.
So you said around and then gave a number.
No, a circle, no, a circle shaped one.
Thank you. We'll take a look.
Thank you.
No,
Sorry.
okay, not a problem. Now we're gonna talk about the capital detail for this upcoming year, 26, 27. The budget request, it was 89 projects by all the departments, and the total was 10.1 million. How this happened, how we picked the projects, you know, departments sent us 89 projects. Then what happened, the departments divisions, everybody sent a list for the priority list for each department as need. Then what is the the most need for the operations for that department, and then they number it per department, you know, we receive it that way. And after that, we start reviewing it. And at the end, because we got a 2.2 million only, then we ending approving 45 projects. That means it's a 51% of the request. Then in this year, I think so it's not bad at all. Like last year, we only had a 586,000 for capital. This year is gonna be a really good year for, as far as for capital. We're gonna have more opportunity to do more projects.
Plus the recommendation to complete the Golf Phase 2 project.
Then here, yeah, and then if you see on the list for the new capital is there, you know, it's on the display right now, but you'll be able to see, then everything is kind of try to level it, you know, all the departments try to put out something on the list. That way, everybody's having at least a couple of items for capital projects.
I have a question. The display is different, okay, than your slides on your
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah.
Because we got it cut off. Mr. Montañez?
I was gonna add, well, I didn't know it was different, but on the paper one, the transit, it's a U40 passenger bus. What's that gonna be used for?
It's on the next slide. I divided, the thing is because it's a big list for 45 projects, I divided in 3 slides. Then can you click on which one? Going. Yeah.
What is that gonna be used for?
Transit, I believe, is a replacement bus for one of our older buses. So we cycle them out with FTA funding. And those are
That's the portion is gonna be.
the portion that we.
It's the match.
That's it,
The match, right?
The match portion.
This bus has
That's it with
over
the car.
500,000 miles, and we probably, if we were to get it awarded, we would not get it like in 2 years. So we're needing to replace that bus.
So technically, the budget capacity has to be there
Available for.
in 2 years,
Actually, the match, they charge us the match up front when we place the order for the bus.
Got it.
So that's why we're budgeting it this year, even though the bus won't come in a year and a half.
Thank you.
Mrs. Dillman had a question?
What happens to the buses, the older buses, when they're at their life?
Thank you for the question.
Mhm.
We basically, we have to go through ADOT because ADOT has a lien on those. And we can't get rid of it until ADOT allows us they release that lien. And then we can go ahead and put the bus on auction. But that process to remove the lien, that has to go through ADOT. And it has to reach a certain threshold of useful of years and mileage and things before ADOT will be able to release the lien.
And do they sit in the yard? Do they just sit in the yard until that
They,
happens? Or-
if they're still functional, they serve as backup whenever we have to service a bus, whenever it's down. So they can still function as backup.
Thank you.
I have a question. Do we know, and I may have looked over it, but do we know the revenue that's been generated by the developers? Do you have like actual numbers?
Do you have a slide for the other funds?
It's gonna be on the slide. Yeah, it's gonna be on the slide.
There's a golf.
It's gonna be a slide for the golf course.
Thank you.
Question. On the airport, do these improvements actually include the landing, you know, when light goes on if they're landing at nighttime? Because I've understood that, you
Yes.
know, some planes want to, so that
That's
is.
the
included.
AWAS station.
Okay,
And that's, I think, 100,000.
Yeah, they're listed there. If you see right now on the screen.
One that doesn't allow us to receive at night because it's the AWAS station, right? The signaling. That's 100,000,
The AWA station tells you conditions on the ground, weather, those kind of things.
which is the
PAPI
reason
light-
that some of our nighttime lifelines have to land at BDI because they don't have sometimes the correct
Oh, yes.
readings
Right.
on the weather.
Mhm.
So that's the AWAS station, but we also have the PAPI lights in there for the runway.
Because that is something down the road, especially if you're gonna have these homes,
Yeah.
right? This is gonna be huge.
Yeah.
And with a commercial port and with, I mean, for the maquiladores, this is a huge thing.
Be easier if, the county gave us BDI.
No.
No?
I second the motion for mayor.
Then if you have any questions related with that, I mean,
Very good, thank you.
I'm gonna go back, I can see this.
Now we'll start the enterprise funds and we'll go over those. Those different revenues on the different funds.
We'll go ahead and get started with a water. That's our first of 3 enterprise funds. This year, we're projecting an increase of $59,279 or 5% due to the 5-year increases that we finished implementing this fiscal year. Get real close. We are projecting the utilization of fund balance for the capital projects before you in the amount of $867,160. First one is the reservoir roof. We have a roof over the reservoir on Geronimo Trail. And that needs to be addressed. We've already completed design on that. The utility locator is being shared by sewer and water, so that water is paying 50%, sewer 50%. So $3,500 is to more easily locate utilities. We're getting a lot of those requests by the different contractors here and all the jobs in town. My nodes and hangers, those are having to do with the transmission of signal from the meters to transmit into the collectors and into our data system to read the meters. So we need to be replacing those as they go bad. The transmission line that's at Geronimo Trail as well, that comes from actually at Reservoir. We were designing that and we still need to finish that. So we project that we need to match about $79,509 to finish that design of that replacement transmission line. We're also doing a remote disconnect meter. So we're slowly replacing our meters with remote disconnect. Basically, you can shut off water with a push of a button as opposed to sending the water tech out and having to manually turn on and turn off water. So we are doing basically 200 RDMs, we call them remote disconnect meters for this fiscal year. And we have done for next fiscal year, which we have been doing for last fiscal year and this fiscal year. General valve replacement and hydrant battery operator, something that can exercise our hydrants, and also just general valves is 14,000. And we also have a match component for the well that we're digging for the port of entry through this 595 grant. It's 281,651. That would be our responsibility for the match.
Mr. Pedrosa, if I can just say, I know you said that we're projecting close to 59,279 due to fully implemented increases in that 5-year plan. I'm just gonna bring up a suggestion of, we're good right now. I think we need to consider maybe like a 10-cent increase where it's not big. Because in 3-4 years, if we come back and say, well, we have to raise your water bill $1 a month because we're way behind, especially with infrastructure, if we're gonna start connecting the people over there on the left side. I mean, a little raise, I think people would understand instead of like, I think it was like $5 in 5 years that we raised it, and then that's where people got upset. So just bringing it up as maybe a consideration with finance committee at some point with council on if we want to raise it, let's raise 5-10 cents right now. And maybe if we need to raise it later on, it's not gonna be a huge increase like last time.
Mayor, thank you for that. We were suggesting a study to do that, because the water fund is hurting. We are having to use $867,000 of its reserves to basically handle, some of these projects. And that fund balance is dwindling. So we definitely need to address that in some fashion. I don't know if it's 10 cents. I don't know if it's, more than that, but definitely need to look at that because it is really needing more cash to just handle the operations. We had to do a lot of cuts in this fund from the operations of things that we just needed to shift around in order to make it balance within the operational fund. So we definitely, that's another point that we definitely need to look at.
Thank you. Mr. Pedrosa, I was here at the meeting at the time when you presented the new type of doing the meters and doing it there, sorry, at the Geronimo Trail. At that time, you said it would be saving the constituents of Douglas money because instead of having two people and the truck going down reading all the meters, it would be, well, we wouldn't need the truck anymore. I remember because we asked, does that mean eliminating jobs? And you said no, because one technician would go into another, he would be absorbed in something else, but one would be working out here. But now you're telling us that we financially, this type of meter gauge that we're using is going to cost the constituents more than what they were informed? Is that what I understand?
No, not necessarily the cost of the system. No, it's more of operational, the keeping up with the well systems, the treatment of potable water, the conveyance of that through those pipes. The systems now, what our technicians are now doing is they have to address those nodes.
No, I
Those
understand.
nodes, sometimes either something falls on them, either they did get disconnected. So it's constant going over maintenance because these nodes sometimes fail. So now that maintenance has shifted from manually reading meters to maintaining the system within what is the electronic system. So there still needs to be that needs to take place. But yeah, the cost of really delivering and treating water keeps going up. That is a cost that we have to.
So I just want to add, I happen to agree with the mayor because the constituents get upset when they get raised like by $5 or even dollars. And especially with the economy as it is now. And I think those are just some of the things that the constituents of Douglas need to be informed. This is why. And again, if it's a moderate number, it's not going to hurt a lot of the people here in Douglas. If you go into the fiber, which eventually I believe you will have to keep up with these numbers.
Mayor, Madam Chair, perhaps we could come up with an algorithm that adjusts them slightly, but never exceeds what a study rate increase would be. So you're kind of always working towards that. The other thing I can tell you is that we have been strongly focusing on continued efficiencies of that system. We're relooking at the work process, we're relooking at the way we maintain and achieved a great efficiency just in connecting our utility office staff. Ms. Kayla Rasvan, who has become an expert in that area where she's able to read. She showed me earlier in a meeting how much a meter was running by the minute, how much water each one. So it is an efficiency that we absolutely take advantage of, and we're reading it at a much different level than before. But with that is information, and how we use that information to become more efficient is what we're challenging our staff to do. And they really are coming around that getting to that point. So we address it from both sides. But we have another great efficiency with our SCADA system. So that's a grant that we received for all the work, not all the work that's happening at Causey Park because that's a well redrill, but That's going to be like home base for a new SCADA system to monitor our wells. Our old SCADA system is not efficient and still requires our staff to monitor every night, every hour, log in the flow of every well in town. So this will connect everything and will alert you when we have a drop. We also have a lot of aging infrastructure, and that's part of the cost. We have just cost of materials costs more, and lots of breaks as we extend out to the west to extend our water distribution system that we're connecting to the site of, 100-year-old pipes. That's a big cost to us when there's a break. So we're trying to be proactive also in water infrastructure replacement. Good
What
comments.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
add is that I think it's really important to keep the constituents informed that this is the reason for. Because many of the complaints I receive is they don't even tell us. So, and communication is, I believe it's critical.
I just.
One
uh,
question,
water-
when you discuss a study, right? It sounds like you guys really know what you're doing. So I would encourage, the studies cost more money, right? So when you talk about a study, you're talking about in-house, being able to decide this, or are you talking about going outside to get a study?
Typically, we do a third party so that somebody from the outside comes in and looks at it from a different lens and says, look, this is the needs, this is what you're doing. We've done it both ways, but a third party typically looks at it very thoroughly and looks at it from that expertise lens of all the costs, projected costs out as well. So they have a lot of different tools.
So again, I would definitely say what you're saying is definitely let the people know what the cost of the study is and what it's for. And if it's going to be able to save them money, or so that they have a forecast in the future. Because one thing I always hear is one study after another study after another study, which costs money. And if you're more transparent about what the study is going to do and what it's going to accomplish, I think you're going to be ahead of the game.
I also wanted to emphasize how critical water is to us, obviously, but how we seem to forget about it. Seem to forget that the pipes are hidden underground and that they are 100 years old. We had a break by the St. Luke's Church recently. I'm not sure if you were aware, but it was a massive break. But what ended up happening was that break caused a lot of different issues in a lot of different places. So it's very old infrastructure. One issue leads to different issues throughout. So there is a lot of old infrastructure out there where that it takes quite a bit of investment to really look at that. So I just want to, and also for the public's sake, to know that the stuff underground is really something that we need to start addressing.
Mayor, real quick, I want to piggyback on that comment by Mr. Pedrosa. This morning, my way to work, I did pull over and talk to some of the water technicians that are working there by the tanks. And they were not, they're thinking in the long run because the short-term fixes are not doing us justice. And I did talk to one of the technicians, I believe supervisor. And the city is looking at replacing some of those valves that you're talking. They've been there for 20+ years. And just recently, maybe 2 weeks ago, driving down 15th Street by D Avenue, I noticed there was a leak coming through the pavement. And that was one of the valves that, they're giving up. So again, the infrastructure is old. So anything we could do to prepare our infrastructure, especially the water, and in the long run, let's do it for a long term, not a short term basis. So, if we do need to project an increase for the constituents or residents, that, yes, don't do it in a big hike, do it in small increments every year. But it is vital that we understand here as a community and the community leaders that we are in the situation here citywide with these 2 port of entries, and we are banking our bucks that within the next 10 years, our community is going to grow. And, you know, I won't be sitting here next time with the 10 years from the finance committee. But, you know, our budget's gonna grow big time and so our sales tax, because, you know, once they see those port of entries complete, you know, we are gonna get investors coming in. So in the long run, you know, yes, we need to take care, we need to do fixes, but for the long term, not short-term fixes, because that's what costs money. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Acosta.
Mayor,
Mr.
I just
Martinez.
have a comment. It's not a question. We had that, a company come down that give mayor and council a presentation that they do large projects. And then it's like a 10% per year that you pay them back, until it's paid off. But in the meantime, they do all the maintenance, they do all that. Might be a way to address the piping issues throughout Douglas.
Sustainability Partners.
Thank you.
Finish off the water and the capital projects there. It's a huge investment. Again, $20.7 million for port of entry related grants that we're looking at. Some of this has already been secured. Some of it, we're still working on it through state appropriation and CDS request. So we have different funding sources from our ARPA funds to Army Corps 595 funds, NatBank Beef, WIFA. Those are existing grants, but we're definitely looking at about $20.7 million in infrastructure investment to feed the new commercial port of entry. We also have a $1.6 million WIFA grant that's been awarded. It was actually 2 million. We'll be carrying over 1.6 for well 18. Very much needed, by the way. More production in our system. And we put $300,000 from the EPA to finish off the SCADA system. We may finish it this fiscal year, but we are carrying it over just in case we don't finish that project. That's the project that Mr. Kehoe was talking about. That makes us more efficient in monitoring water levels. Moving on to the sewer enterprise fund, we are projecting $118,000 revenue increases, again, due to the 5-year implemented increases in this fund. This fund is a little bit more healthier than the water fund. But we are planning to use $500,000 of its reserves to take care of the 20th and 23rd Street project for sewer. Those are the newly annexed areas that we have, and they didn't have sewer. We are in the process of design currently for 20th Street. So we are carrying those funds over. We also going to finish the 30% design for the preliminary engineering report, or PER, for the effluent reuse that would take effluent from the wastewater treatment plant up to the golf course, but in the process, take care of all of our parks. So that is a big step there to finish that study, and then move into 100% design and seek funding for that. Projections right now are about $15 million to implement that system. That includes additional treatment to get the water to A+ quality that could allow us to irrigate with that for our parks, our golf course, any ball fields. We also set aside $150,000 of right-of-way acquisition on Commerce Way and Kings Highway. That sometimes that does not get grant funded, so we put that money aside for that right-of-way acquisition. Right now, we're in the process of doing a environmental study, which would allow us to then take on the acquisition process. We need a SCADA system also for the wastewater treatment plant to monitor different components and different alerts there for the treatment of wastewater. It's $150,000. The ox ditch mixer is $70,000. A new trash pump is $35,000, and that utility locator that was mentioned before is $3,500. So that's our capital for sewer. If we go to the next slide.
Mr.
Uh,
Pedrosa, if
Yes,
you don't-
Mr. Frank.
just and you don't have to do it by the time this budget goes in. But do you mind, if it's okay with Mr. Zakipo, if you can give us a number on a 5 cent increase for water and then a 5 cent increase for sewer, since you're taking a lot of these projects from the reserve to help build it up again? How much revenue that would bring in?
Yes.
Yeah, we can-
Thank you.
So continuing with the grants on the enterprise fund of $12.1 million on the sewer side. Same thing, same grants that we're seeking that appropriation. I know the mayor's working hard on that to get that state appropriation to get us completely funded. We also have a $360,000 pending request from the NAD Bank, which these are PDAP funds to help us do some flood mitigation design for a flood wall to protect our wastewater treatment plant, which is in the flood zone. Any questions with sewer? Before we go to sanitation?
I have a question. I see that you have skate out for 300 underwater and then 115 under sewer. Is it different?
Yeah, so the one underwater actually was 2.4 million. 2.5 million dollars. We're just about to finish it and we have $300,000 left. And the one with sewer, I believe we have a system there. Are we upgrading that?
Yeah.
We're upgrading the sewer system. So it's totally different.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just get a raise on the pumps.
Water and sewer were raises, yeah, the last raise happened in February,
Yeah,
the increase
for the sewer, no,
for the water and sewer.
water and sewer.
Yes, not sanitation.
How much were their increases?
These last increases were 8.5%.
More than 5 cents.
Yes, for sure. Moving on to sanitation, we're looking at, again, this is a recurring item for just replacement of cans, the 96 and the 300-gallon cans. Again, this is the fund that really needs, water also, but we haven't raised rates since 2011 for sanitation. Again, the rate study is going to be carried over for that cost for that rate study to do that. We have some upcoming increases in the tipping fees from $64 a ton to $68 a ton. So that will impact our operational costs. We're continuing to explore different recycle or reuse programs. We do the branch chipping or Christmas tree chipping for free. And that helps our transfer station from getting those type of trees and limbs kind of stuck in that transfer station and provides a service to the community. We're also seeking a $750,000 grant for microplastics recycling, basically to sell processed plastics. It would remanufacture or manufacture those recycled plastics for different housewares, different athletic protective equipment, things like that. Looking at what entails to do that processing as well. We are using $20,595 of fund balance again this year. We not balancing. We're having to basically utilize our savings to balance.
Mr.
Yes.
Pedros, on the microplastics, is that going to create jobs here in Douglas?
It could, yes. I think what we're looking at is about 3 people is what they were recommending to operate the plant, at least the microplastics. I don't know what if that could actually create additional jobs with that plant coming about and other people having to manufacture the plastics. That I couldn't tell you. But the recycling component, you would be looking at about 3 FTEs.
Is that something, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I can answer that. So the $750,000 would include paying employees. And I think Mr. Verduzco and Clever was saying, I think it's like 600,000 for the equipment. The rest would be used for employee pay. The real jobs are created with the manufacturer that we're talking, that actually repurposes the plastic of being recycled.
And, and Mayor and Madam Chair, what we did is we added, because we received a pro forma on the future operation, both from a recycling standpoint and then the operation. But from a recycling standpoint, for our purpose in our budget, it's projected that year one is inclusive of, I think it's 2.5 FTEs. And so what we did for this budget is there's a portion of when we do pelletization of plastics and recycling, produce pellets and sell the pellets, we put a $250,000 business startup cost in there, both from the revenue and expense side for a wash, just to have a holding place in the budget for that opportunity should we get this grant. So try and get a kickstart off.
Question. Have we looked at environmental impact to have something like this?
Oh, yes, good question. So that needs to be permitted through ADQ, whatever, the end product or whatever it creates, that needs to be permitted, that needs to be handled correctly, that needs to be in the proper place in the city. So we're not in charge of that, but ADQ would definitely have to have oversight as to what those byproduct of that manufacturing is creating and making sure that it's handled according to
Or any
their
chemicals
laws. Any
that might
chemicals, correct,
contaminate our water supply?
correct.
And I can, NADBank's giving us, or that grant, that they, it's being considered because we're reusing the water. So we're not using drinking water. It's gonna be repurposed water that's gonna be repurposed every time to clean out the plastic. So environmentally, it's considered safe. They did that in Phoenix too, where they believe the ASU, where they did the microplastic factory. So we're just bringing that. But environmentally, from what I understand, it's.
And they are adding that regulatory, component in their analysis as consultants following the ADEQ model. And we recently had that discussion because there are requirements of how they dispose of the effluent after it's gone through the cycle.
I would just like to say, be really, get all your dots and, whatever you call it, because look at what happened to Benson. That plant put in $35 million, the company, and they just pulled out.
Yeah.
Because of the threat of the Attorney General, because of the chemicals that people project. It's a very emotional type of thing. And a lot of it is emotion, not necessarily based on facts. But I think you have to be prepared for the worst scenario too, that Mays may come in and say, this is something that, you're using water, even if it's the reusable water and recycled water and whatever emissions are going to come out. So you got to have your marketing plan and PR in place because you don't want what happened in Benson to happen here in Douglas.
Yeah, no manufacturing and then this,
Hey,
yeah.
I have a question.
Mr. Mutai.
So you guys are seeking, well, who's seeking this anyways? Is it the city or is it the guys you're talking to, or who's seeking the $750,000?
The city would be applying for it directly. We have to be the applicant and we have that ready to submit. We have been working with Verduzco through the Clever contract that we
And
have.
do they have a place to have it? Because you said half of, like 600,000 was for equipment and the rest for salaries. So where are they going to put it?
Those are the things that we're talking through with areas out near the wastewater plant for pelletization is the first thought in our grant proposal. And where they come in and locate their manufacturing business is still something under consideration.
Yeah, I just think it would be like Ms. Gomez said, it's going to be a big issue because I wouldn't want something like that in there.
In an industrial area, yes.
Zoned that way, right, to the.
That's true. It's-
Yeah.
These people bought land cheaper, right, around, because it was cheap. But they didn't do their due diligence, or they ignored the fact they were near an industrially zoned area. And therefore got upset because actually industry came in. So just use them as the worst case scenario, so you can be prepared.
So I think that's the sanitation. We're gonna move to the special revenue funds highlights. Do you all want to take a break, 5-minute break? Just to, yeah. We'll take a 5-minute break and then we'll discuss special revenue.
Thank you.
How are you, Alicia?
It's great for Mr.
Some more people.
Okay, let me get up. I'm sorry.
After seeing numbers all day, you're seeing numbers again.
How are you? What's that? Oh. I thought I tried to- You did good.
Yeah, Mark.
You can always say, my hope is.
It was good. Yes. But your foot are up. 12:45. That's all. And traffic was. But since I don't know how to get that, I also speak it, that's my time. Remember, that makes you're right. No, it's a little slower than the freeway, but you're not. And I think it's worse. How are you? I have too many friends. No. Actually, like, oh, God. That was the cat. That's pizza. No.
They're still there. It's fun.
Is it for the box?
What's that box? There was an empty one on top, people.
Yeah. Yes, are you ready? Talking. That's why you're sitting in the front because you're the troublemaker. Okay, we'll continue. Now we're at the special revenue funds highlights. Whoever.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Chair. So we've discussed their general fund. We've also discussed our enterprise funds. And the last thing we need to discuss is the highlights on special revenue. Special revenue includes our HERF, our golf, transit, and also we're going to talk about grants as well. So this is revenue specifically for or given to us for a specific purpose, such as HERF, for streets improvements and whatnot. So next slide, please. For we are anticipating using a little bit over 1.1 million from reserves to fund some of these activities. That revenue money has changed, like I said, about 10 minutes before our presentation, so don't, it actually increased slightly by about $14,000 in the latest revenue projection. Some of the key projects within our HERF is our asphalt plant, which is nearly complete. You've seen you've read the updates from our city manager. We've gone vertical. As a matter of fact, there is a picture on this slide mostly related to our asphalt plant. So we're really excited about that. It is anticipated that we start operating sometime in July or August of this year. Yes.
But another, we're just gonna start. with the streets.
I had said this before, but are you guys talking with the county? Because we need asphalt, we need that, but we need to make sure that it's a certain quality and standard. So has there been communication with the county on what the county needs so that we could possibly use your asphalt?
And I will defer to city administration on that.
I don't believe we've had formal communications, but we've told when Jackie Watkins was here, she was well aware and how we were progressing through it and they showed interest. And we said, we'll just, as we progress, we'll kind of.
Yeah, may I make a suggestion? She left. And now Brad is the new engineer and he falls under Jason Facio. So please have that meeting as soon as you can, because I would like to be able to use this asphalt, but there has to be a certain grade, you know, considering with ADOT and all that. But this is a real opportunity and I hate Douglas to miss out on having that chance because you didn't have that talk. So if you need me to facilitate that with Mr. Facio, please let me know. And I think it would be just a great opportunity for Douglas.
We can do that. Thank you.
Some of the recommended spending, again, part of it is coming from reserves and some of it is coming from its own revenue is streets work, 734,969. Sorry, it's getting a little bit late. There is an allocation for some solar LED lighting projects for $70,000, construction materials $90,000, and equipment trailer $75,000 as staff has indicated they need, and a dump truck for $300,000.
Mayor, may I just say two things first? I want everyone to realize that Warren Peterson has possibly will still put this into some kind of rider where there will be a gas gift tax to both Maricopa and Pima, which would, I know for my county, about 30% of her funds would be reduced. Now, Mr. Peterson is saying that he will have no harm to cities and counties, but they're just gonna take that. If they do that, they'll probably take it out of ADOT, which still impacts us in a negative way, right? So just pray and hope that he doesn't succeed. And I think he's coming to the area pretty soon. And so hopefully, I don't know, whenever the budget is finalized, we'll know whether or not that's in there. But just heads up, that could be a real issue for both of counties and for the cities. The other thing too is Geronimo Trail, you know, the county maintains that. We do it probably now about once or twice a month, maybe not that much, I'm not sure. But I believe that the company that's doing a lot of wear and tear on that road, I'm going to approach them and I might ask the mayor to help come to that meeting to discuss them actually contributing to maintaining that road, because the wear and tear, it's going to increase. And we're in both the county and the city is going to be impacted by that. So I believe that we should approach this company and ask tribute to maintaining the roads. So just FYI.
I have a question on her funds. Does this include any sidewalks or is it just street, specifically street? And the reason I'm asking is because some areas in my ward, there's been houses that have been there 80, 90 years and they still don't have sidewalks. So how is that? How can we address that?
Yes, Mr. Montaño, there is a pot of money for that under construction materials. It's $90,000. Now that does cover a lot of sidewalk curbing, but it also that's what we use to do like repairs, general repairs, crack repairs, potholing, any materials for traffic signals and things like that. So in general, we use it for catch-all, but most of it goes towards sidewalks and can go towards sidewalks and curb.
Okay, how do we, or how can we make sure that those areas that are addressed? Because, like I said, some houses are there 80, 90 years and they still don't have a sidewalk or a curb. It's like going to a third world country. There's no sidewalk, it's just dirt. There's the asphalt and then dirt and the houses. So I don't know, how can we add more money to that, or how can we do something? Because it's bad. Because there's other places that are, I know the 15th Street, those are being done under the CDBG funds. And unfortunately, though, the areas where I'm talking about, they don't fall under the CDBG guidelines. So those houses will never get done if we continue doing what we've been doing. That's right.
Mayor, Madam Chair, Councilmember Montaño, I think there's a couple of things we can do to address maybe a strategy. What we can do is present back in one of our meetings, regular council or special council meeting, a presentation of the progress we've made on sidewalks and where the gaps are. Prioritize those gaps and try and attach a dollar amount by linear foot, which is what we've done in the past. But you're right, we've been so lucky, matter of perspective, right, to be able to use CDBG funds, but because we've had so many gaps. But our maps have changed for CDBG and we no longer have the same opportunity. We have to shift focus to use CDBG funds for maybe other things. But what we can do is look at things like in the amount of money that we placed under Vision 2032 strategic investment or mayor and council projects, we would be able to maybe allocate some of that to as a general, it's not really general fund, but it is a one-time distribution into her for that portion. That's one idea. And then prioritize. Do you know, Luis, and not to put you on the spot, but what our current linear foot cost is for curb and sidewalk? Geez, he would have been so impressive. But we have, that's the type of thing we try and track when we do our estimations for CDBG on the block. So we can maybe dust that off. We also have, those areas are, we recently did lighting in some of those areas, not lighting either. Okay. I mean, that's a suggestion, is to break down a priority area, to prioritize the area, and based on linear feet, try and do an estimation over this year, next fiscal year, to approach non-CDBG curb and sidewalk. Because it's not just that area. We've made, I think the study that Public Works staff has done over the last few years, it's really a nice study to show how much, it's the one in green and red, right, that we delivered during our futures meeting, that shows how so much of the red has turned green, but we still have a lot of red there. So we can come back to resurface that as a refresher for everyone and then maybe pull a strategy or a few recommendations on that we can make based on a linear foot cost.
Just a quick comment. I agree because again, that's a basic need for a city. That's where I disagreed on the sidewalk program. People pay if they want one. Because why are we treating one section differently where you get one, but then another section where you have to pay for it? Mr. Costa and my ward, it's low income. So, and if you remember when they were annexing, we were annexing 23rd and half of 23rd and then what is it, 19th or 20th? We had people from 23rd say, well, you're gonna give them a sidewalk? I don't even have a sidewalk right now. And then what was our response? Well, if you want one, you can pay for it. So it's either we have everybody pay for one or we do what a municipality should do and offer those basic services like a sidewalk in the street. So I don't think we can have those two options though at the same time. Because I don't think it's fair for asking one person to pay for it and then giving it. So I'm open to just eliminating that program so we can offer settlements there.
Mayor, Madam Chair, staff pulled up some data from our engineer in a previous conversation, not on a per linear foot, but on a per block and material only, not labor costs, and 13,000. So we'll verify that, but that's a ballpark.
I just wanted to add, and a few years ago, I don't know if it's 5, maybe even longer. They did our street, 9 months, they did the sidewalk. The only thing we as a family had to pay was for the driveway. And they were really nice. I mean, the sidewalks that they did are the 1,800 and for the.
And if you're driving down 8th Street and you get to San Antonio and you look left, it's like there's sidewalks, there's streets, there's curbing. You look south and it's literally looks like a third world country. There's no sidewalks, there's barely asphalt that's like torn off on the ends. And it goes all the way down. So that's what I mean, like we're kind of shifting focus to the new projects and stuff and keep forgetting about
The old.
stuff that's been there for a long time.
And the other thing that really needs to be addressed is the markings on the streets. The striping, especially by Wells Fargo Bank. When I'm driving there, there's 2 lines. 2 lines, if you go through there, 2. And especially at night, you wonder like, oh, yeah. And I live right.
We have a new striping machine now as well, so we're trying to get used to and get more expertise on.
And I would say definitely as I'm older, I really don't want to drive at night, and I think the mayor knows this, because I really don't know what side of the street I'm on.
I see better than.
Yeah, exactly. So as we are an aging and growing older community.
You'd be striping with reflectors.
Yeah, we need something, especially like even when you're by the credit union on Washington, where it's hard to see where you can make a left or if you should go straight. It's very confusing. And so, yeah, so I would be remiss in not bringing that up. And also, if you can tell the community with the asphalt plant, when you guys project actually starting to, fix the roads, that especially, like I say, on 10th Street, if you're in a newer model, it says attention, you're entering a rural community. And that's 10th Street. That's our main street for the city. So that's one of the biggest complaints that you hear, even from people, that came out of town, for like Flicka's funeral. They were like, oh my gosh, going down 10th Street is awful. You even have weeds growing. Why is there so many cracks in the road? So, then there was like, well, that's Douglas for you. We really have to, that's like one thing that people, when they come to visit, see, and your streets are not decent, then it's like, wow, what kind of place is this to live in?
Fun.
Next slide, please. Our golf, this year we completed the back 9 improvements.
Can we go back? I just want to make sure that the construction materials and the street work, is that gonna have, that including all the materials and stuff that the new asphalt plant is gonna require? Or is that not on here? So in order to get it going, you're gonna have to get all the oils, all the stuff, right? Is that included in here or is that?
Yes, Mr. Montaño, under streets work, the 734,969 includes the oil, the sand, the rock, all the different materials to make asphalt.
All right, sorry about that.
And that's separate from the grant that will be charged from ADOT.
That is correct.
That's once it's going.
Right, the grant has specific streets that it will tackle, and it's just commercial routes. While this one, we can do other city streets. But the race grant will cover 10th Street, G Avenue, F Avenue, Pan American, Chino Road, 3rd Street. And
Does it
Yes.
cover 15th?
no. It's not covered.
And I have another question.
A
Washington.
portion of Washington.
It says that there was a date here somewhere. Okay, operational July, August, but then you also mentioned that there was a study that would be completed after a year.
Yes. the-
Safe streets for.
Safe Streets for All study. We got a grant for that. Basically, we'll study all of our streets, sidewalks, modes of transportation and give us a plan to basically get us into more ADA compliance throughout our streets, safer bikers, basically a complete streets package of how you can move people and different modes of transportation.
So it's gonna be operational in July, but how soon are you gonna start fixing streets? Do you have to wait for that feasibility study? No?
Not at all.
Okay.
No. What the SS4A though, it will complement the race grant. It will make recommendations on the race grant, those streets and say, hey, on 10th Street, we need this ADA access. So it would make those recommendations into the race grant, build it into the design and finally construct it on those streets that I mentioned.
And I think we mentioned, that the streets, wherever we want to start, that's up to kind of like our recommendations and our words and all. We just heard that.
We start with,
But
with,
that'll be the race grant. That's
Yeah.
probably gonna be
Yeah.
one of the first ones.
Yeah, by the way, 10th Street it ends at Washington, okay, because after Washington, it's not commercial. Yeah, it used to be a corridor for Highway 80, which is why it remained commercial, but up to Washington, because then you take Washington North and you connect to the highway. So that's the commercial route. We couldn't do it further, which is where the
Where the
bumps
bumps
are
are.
at. The bumps are at, so unfortunately, we couldn't cover
I
that.
didn't know
Well, we could fix it with this funding right here, the HERF fund. If that's what is prioritized.
One more question.
Sure.
Should we, maybe consider putting, penny tax on gas or something like that to help get money in to help?
for more streets.
Mr. Shelton,
Yeah.
that's something that we verify. We cannot raise
cannot.
a tax on the gasoline. That's only the state
Could do
ability to
that.
do.
Okay, that was just a thought. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Pedrosa, I thought that the people that buy tickets, the lottery tickets, we don't get money for
No
that either?
more, Mrs. Pedro. Well,
No.
that money got swept more than 10 years ago by the state. It used to go through to transportation purposes and be distributed amongst all the cities, but the state has swept those funds.
Yeah, I have a question, maybe off topic or not, but I just, I read an article that the county was concerned with, the taxes from vehicle sales. I've seen a lot of Carvana cars come into town. Is any of that sales taxes come to the city?
Mr. Montaño, yes, if it gets registered to Douglas. So when you register your vehicle in the Douglas DMV and you have a Douglas address, the DMV will charge you a sales tax and that comes to Douglas.
But not as not the sale of the vehicle.
No, right.
Yeah, like the actual, what you pay, but only on the registration.
Only on the registration. No, but the value of the vehicle, yes, I'm sorry, yes, it is the value of the vehicle. So, for example, if you choose to buy a car out of state, the dealer may not charge you a sales tax because they know that you live in Douglas, Arizona. But when you come and register it here in Douglas, Arizona, you will get charged the local sales tax at the value of the car that you pay.
I'd like to say that what happened when we heard about that, they actually said it was cut in half and we couldn't believe that, the tax had been cut that much. So our chairman contacted the county supervisors. They looked into it and it was an error. So we actually got 1.9 million more than was stated. But that's why you have to keep on top of this because they make a lot of mistakes. And if you don't call them out, there we could have missed out on $1.9 billion. So the League of Cities should be able to help you in that kind of situation also. But we as municipality here at, ground, what do you want to call it, ground level, we always have to be aware and question, because if we see something that doesn't look right, we need to immediately go to the state and say, what's going on? We want you to be accountable and let us know why this has been cut so much. Just don't take their word for it, as we found out.
I will say though, if you buy a car in Tucson, okay, you do pay Tucson sales tax. You come and register it in Douglas, you only pay the difference of that tax. If Tucson charges 2.5% or 3.5% and we charge 3.8%, we'll only get charged the difference.
And the bad thing too is hybrid cars and electric cars do not pay anything. So, people who do the regular gas cars, we pay for the roads, where the electrical vehicles and hybrids, they get a free ride. That's something else that has to be addressed.
Next slide, please. Like I said, back nine improvements were completed this year. The back nine is slated to open this summer. Front nine rehab, the design is 90% complete. It includes a new lake. And projected cost is 1.3 million, which again is part of the recommendation. Some of the financial highlights for this upcoming year, we are projecting an increase of 29% in revenue, again, due to increased play, since we have the back nine now that will be open during this new fiscal year, an increased uptick in events, and also, again, the back nine opening. We do have an increase in cost to the MPC, mainly due to having to hire more people to take care of the fields. MPC pays makes payroll on behalf of the Gulf, and then we reimburse the MPC every 2 weeks. So that's sort of the process under the new contract. Capital funding requests, what we're recommending, Mayor and Council approve is improvements in our food service expansion, a new stove, a commercial stove, tables and chairs, a pole barn for equipment, and that's 120,000. The kitchen, $25,000. Other requests that we're not recommending funding this particular fiscal year at this point is that was the RV park repaving. Again, we do have leftover funds from La Peria apartment sales to be carried over. That was discussed previously. We are carrying over what we have left from that funding.
Just a quick comment. This is with our MPC meetings because Mrs. Ukiko stated in the last one. For this to be successful, it needs to try to be as self-sustaining as possible. Yes, it's probably always gonna be in the red, but it needs to help itself out. And maybe it's something that we need to bring back with the MPC in the agreement, because right now the kitchen's not paying rent. So if we're gonna give them a new stove to use, we need some revenue coming out of it, whether it's a monthly lease or a weekly lease, whatever it might be. The green fees have to be updated, especially if it's gonna be 18 holes and not 9. And then the usage of the hall, there's times where they're charged the price they're supposed to be priced, and there's also times where somebody uses it completely free. So that's our resources that we're subsidizing, and it's not enough just to say, well, they're gonna drink beer and that's how we're gonna get our money back. We still need this to be, we need to run it like a business, not like a club, so, look for some type of agreement to come back so we can update it.
Yes, you know, the RV parking, that is used quite a bit. I mean, I go there on Thursdays, family night. But, and family members have used it. I really think that is important because again, it's the aesthetics and the beauty. I mean, we're fixing it up, I really think that should be addressed, the RV parking, because you've already, my understanding is the electrical and all that has been fixed, correct?
Correct.
But as you know, and I don't know, do they get charged for staying in with a rent?
They rent. Yeah.
So yeah, so they should make it, and there's a lot. You're there all
It's
the time,
always full.
you see how many. So I really think that aesthetic, it should, that to me is RV repaving is, well, I think it's important. People would be more willing to stay because, I mean, they use the bar, they use the restaurant there.
I have a question. How much was this asked for? Do we know how much it would cost? Especially more or less, an estimation with us using our own asphalt by the time we could do this?
Mayor, I think we have a $70,000 estimate.
That's with
Redoing.
us doing it with like the new asphalt plant or with contracting? it?
That should be contracting. I think that's, at the time, yeah, we came up with that estimate through a contract.
So I mean, if we can come up with something us doing it on our own, the asphalt,
Yeah, because there was 5 employees trained, correct?
Yes, golf course was number one to come and ask us to practice there first. But it was for the back 9 trails, not for the RV park. But we'll take a look at that and update it based on
Thank you.
not incorporating the labor cost as cost of materials, and we can get that as additional information for you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Next slide, please.
Just to answer your question before, the revenue for golf is $372,000 is what we're projecting.
Thank you.
That's from green fees, our punch passes, renting carts,
That's right. It's right on the screen.
bar revenue, bar revenue, hall rentals, RV, park spaces. You can see all the line items there.
Mr. Pedrosa, obviously I do not golf and do not know how. But I'm curious what people are charged. Do we keep up and pace with that too? Especially now that we're renovating and new people are coming? We don't?
Yeah, I think there's a room there to increase that, especially now, as the mayor mentioned, that we're gonna be offering a better field in the back 9. I
And
think
more.
the MPC was a little hesitant to be able to do that, to increase those fees, because we didn't offer a quality golf course, but I think that's getting improved. I think it makes it a little bit more palatable when you have a better product. But yeah, I think we're on the lower end of charging those green fees.
And again, I still think that if we do, go up, we shouldn't go something drastic, but something to monitor it because we want, when I go, and I go a lot, there's a lot of people golfing. So we wouldn't want to deter them from golfing, but at the same time, we want them, because they are going to enjoy a big investment that the city is placing into the golf course. Because I personally have seen when they're watering and doing all this. So I do think it should be comparable. The
Comparable to
prices.
other
Mhm.
courses. We can look at other.
Can I make a comment? I think we should wait till the front 9 is done. Because comparing like the front 9 of Douglas to the front 9 of Sierra Vista or Turquoise Valley, Mountain View or anywhere else that's near here, it's nowhere close to their niceness, I guess, for lack of a better word. So I think if we wait till the front 9 is done, we definitely could start competing and matching those. But if we do it now, like Ms. Pedrigo said, it's just gonna deter people from going. And I think if we keep them there, keep them there, I think a lot of more people are going out there because the back nine is almost done. People are making, I talked to one of my friends, he's gonna be here in July just to come play the back nine. So I think once, if you build it, they will come, how they say it, but I think people will start coming once it's done, but we can't dissuade people from playing by raising prices when it's not worth it.
I think you were gonna answer, but when she brought up raising the fees, it was after they did the, because they're gonna close down the front nine for 3 months
Right.
to basically reseed it and fix the water issues and all that, right? So after that. is when you-
Irrigation, right.
yeah, when you brought up raising of.
Right, and we talked to them about phasing in and optimal fees for areas other than green fees as well. Obviously, they've capitalized on an increased revenue from opening Mondays, which they historically have not been open on Mondays, which means there's just no staff there to collect because golfers still come onto the grounds. So now they're capturing that and just by staffing and making some changes, I think, to the kitchen. If we're going to increase traffic over there, you know, they want to be able to have a hot dog or a bag of chips or something simple. And so we're going to invest in a commercial stove and make some improvements to the bar ceiling, bar chairs, bar tables, and try and kind of pick up the ambiance there. And with that, I think is a shortfall in the general fund transfer of 50,000. That equates to about 4,100 a year and a month, I'm sorry. And that's not necessarily what we're saying or calling for, but you know, we're trying to create something.
Narrow the gap.
Mr.
And I
Kiko.
think we should also, or the golf course should have some type of schedule. I heard complaints of about like on a Saturday night, people are there hanging out, drinking, and at 6 o'clock, they're kicked out because they're closing.
Right.
So I think that kind of stuff dissuades people from going over there. Not being able, not having a set time or just randomly not charging people for the hall. That's unheard of. Like, how can you run a business like that?
But it happened. But
Oh.
I just wanted to add, the other thing that's really important, Mr. Kiko, and that I've seen, because they fixed it up. They fixed it up really nice on one occasion. And they put their no tax and all this, and it was really nice. Even the restrooms were nice and stuff. Then all of a sudden, it was torn down. And I remember when I was on the IDA, they asked for money to fix the bathrooms, and the IDA gave them the money to fix the bathrooms. I go back there and believe me, I won't use them because they're,
Exactly.
yeah, they're bad. And it wasn't that long ago, the IDA, because I believe everything we have, we need to take care of it. So somebody needs to be either supervising it, ensuring that it is maintained. Because once it's done, nobody takes care of it. And I don't know who does what. All I go is eat cameras. But I do know, because like the bathrooms are horrible. And I remember as the IDA member, we gave money.
Okay, we'll take a look. Last year, in fact, last fiscal year, we did improvements to restrooms, including which hole is the back on the front nine towards, right, and then the RV bathroom and the men's, the women's inside the clubhouse as well. Yeah,
And then-
so we did a complete
I think
reading.
the men's bathroom is really nice.
Yeah.
I have been in the women, so.
No, it can be improved. No, it can be improved.
Well, we were just there this weekend, like the weekend of the graduation, and the restrooms were fine. They were not like, there was no soap and things like that, so I had to provide that, but the restrooms were.
They
Are
had
you
a
talking about the
remodel.
ones in the-
They remodeled last fiscal year, so it's less than a year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they redid them last year. They redid them all last year. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been,
Yeah, they redid them, like,
Yeah.
tore them all off.
New tile,
Yes.
new tile.
Yeah, you should go in there. Check it out. Check it out.
Don't go back because then they're gonna get messed up. Maybe it was you.
No,
Okay, I'd like to make this comment.
Okay.
every-
Mr. Shelton, make the comment that will.
Okay, every Tuesday, my wife gets in the car about if anywhere from 5:30 to 6:30 and goes to Sierra Vista and plays golf with, there's 16 to 20 ladies from Bisbee and from Sierra Vista that play. But Paula's been telling them, and they're getting excited, hey, maybe once a month now. When that's done, we can come and not only come to the golf course, but then go out to eat and go shopping and so forth. And that's, since I've been on the city council, that's been one of my chief goals, and I've pushed in many different directions in the past 16 years to
And then we'll have a
get that.
gazebo.
A
Yeah,
gazebo,
yeah,
we'll light
yeah,
it up after
And,
six.
yeah, and something really nice, you know, that would bring people from Elfrida, they're getting married and they can come and enjoy.
Yeah.
Some nice lighting.
Yes,
And
lighting, speakers, out there.
Have a PR team because we need that really advertise that marketing team.
So is it gonna be the Ray Shelton gazebo?
Gazebo.
Yeah.
Wedding.
And I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of ways to, generate revenue. It's not only raising the fees, but, we can staff. We can provide stuff for people to buy because right now there isn't much, like gloves and other things that a golfer might need. And that's a way that that the city can generate revenue without, because they'll buy water, they'll buy drinks, and as long as we have enough
And we're actually talking about that with the store opening. right?
inventory.
Yeah, they've always maintained a small inventory of a pro shop, and in the past it was much larger as a business, but certainly room for growth there.
So airport. Negotiations are ongoing to complete phase 3 of the parcel sale around the airport. We did go out for bids for the perimeter fencing, which is primarily funded through the ADOT grant, for which we have $280,000 designated. We'll need to pull 97,000 additional if the land sale closes. For this upcoming, we also have the Save America Treasures Grant, which is $750,000, which required a city matched of 375, which has been funded and carried over to the new fiscal year. Again, this grant is to work on the hangar rehab and taxiways and runway. And we also have the taxiway grant for this new fiscal year, for which we're allocating spending authority for 1.7 million for mill and overlay of taxiways and turnarounds. There is a city match component of 10%. Construction will slate it for late fiscal year 27 or early fiscal year 28. Next slide. So this is our grants spending authority for this new fiscal year is $67,035,321. It includes 2.2 million that we've applied for grants and 32 in pending applications. Whether an application is successful or not, we need spending authority under the next budget. So that's the reason we allocate. We assume that we're going to get the funding for that purpose. There is 1.8 million that we're allocating for matching, for grant matching across all funds, and which includes 790,500 in the general fund. Some of the grants, we've discussed many of them already tonight. 5.9 million race grant, $1.9 million for airport grants we just talked about. $45 million for West Extension Utilities under this Water and Sewer Fund, and 11.7 million in congressional director spending. So again, grants, not all are approved, but we need to designate a spending capacity under our budget.
And just a quick question. So if we designate this money and we don't get the grant, does that just go back into the general fund?
If you're talking about matches, yes. If you're talking about spending authority, like applied grants, there is nothing to,
Just the
we
match,
just don't
just
get
the
it.
match.
Just a match comportion. Next slide, please. And then our transit. We're entering a new 2-year cycle with ADOT. Preliminary award notification received. We did not get what we applied for. We're short $140,700 from that grant. This grant funds most of our operation. Ridership, I think there was a question earlier today about that. We saw an increase last year of 3%. Driven primarily by Cochise College usage and Cochise connection routes. Our general fund subsidy to transit increased to $270,000, or is projected to be $217,070. Again, we have to fill the gap somehow, and there was an increase in that subsidy to provide the service to the community. Some of the grants and projects, there's preliminary award of $90,000 for comprehensive transit study. I think we discussed this earlier tonight. Transit facility approved at Public Works Barnside, environmental and design proceeding via existing 5339 grant. Our Bisbee operations, we are submitting a bid in June, which is now, to continue within or to compete for a 10-year contract. So stay tuned for that. And again, it helps offset some of the costs associated with running a transit program. Some of the next steps include, again, we were always pursuing grants from Legacy Foundation, Freeport, and other sources. I think we talked about strategizing and maybe look into that Sierra Vista possibility as well.
I also want to remind everyone that when you look at your property taxes, everyone thinks the county raises taxes. Well, we don't. We've actually we decreased it last year and we're keeping it flat. But Cochise College, when you look at your property tax, those taxes have increased a lot every year. Now, our college, the Douglas campus, has had a lot of programs closed. That's why so many students need to go to Sierra Vista. So again, I'm going to be the thorn in the side of everyone about this, but they need to be paying more than $23,000 because of the fact that they raise our taxes. And you'd be amazed, it goes up by 3 or 4%. And I've kind of felt like anything, east of the Mule Mountains, we should go on strike. And so not pay Cochise College taxes. I know this is kind of a heretic thing to say, but we need to get value for our money. And if we have to transport our students to Sierra Vista, then Sierra Vista needs to contribute to the cost of that, and the hospitals also. There you go.
Not a thorn on our side, don't worry. Somebody else's mate.
Next slide, please. We are also recommending funding $43,800 in community funding requests. These are outside non-for-profits, primarily organizations that reach out to the city for funding for a specific purpose. I'm not going to go over the list. You have that information in your memo, in the presentation as well. And I've also emailed you the actual applications that were submitted to us.
I'd like to add that out of my community enhancement funds, I did the veterans clinic. So that is why it's off of you guys' chart. So that I will be giving to you very soon. Thank you.
You can
And-
use more money if you want.
again, there's a column for what they asked for, what we're recommending we fund, and then the purpose. We are leaving $1,000 for any mid-year requests. Anything beyond the 43,800, if an organization comes to us, they'll have to come to mayor and council, and then we'll have to find a funding source for that. Next slide, please. All right, so that ends the actual presentation about numbers. So what we have coming up, we still have our liability insurance money cost pending. And we kind of and don't have the final state share revenues. I think we have the most up to date. Again, we got them 10 minutes before the meeting, so the League of Cities and Towns does not anticipate those numbers to change. So that's a good thing because we got a slight increase like we talked about. Next slide, please. And then next steps, we will have the Finance Committee meeting tomorrow at noon for more pizza. No, actually, no, Subway. And then that meeting is the opportunity for the Finance Committee to make recommendations to mayor and council based on what was discussed. And then mayor and council will come together on June 10th for tentative budget adoption. Tentative budget adoption sets the spending cap. So that is our first level of approval. And then we have to go through the public notice process, and then the final adoption will be on July 8th. Between June 10th and July 8th, changes can be made to the budget. What cannot change is the limit. So what we set as the cap. But we can change money around as much as mayor and council desire.
We have until next Wednesday. If we want to raise that ceiling, budget ceiling to $1,000, that's the time to do it, because like you're saying, we could just move money around, but that, whatever it's gonna be budgeted, it stays.
Correct. Next slide, please.
I hope we just asked, we asked all the questions we're gonna ask.
Thank you, everyone.
I might be regretting this, but does
And-
anybody else have any questions?
Nick's still awake?
Mr. Kiko.
Did you want to mention this?
Sure.
Yes, you did.
Early on.
That's the question I asked.
Finance.
I second.
Second, I was gonna, no, that's just, second, working that.
You made the motion, he said, then you guys all in favor, say aye. Now for us, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'd make a.
She's been
motion.
wanting to leave for the
Aye.
hours. And then I'll have Mr. Shelton second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays?
Aye.
Have it.
Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.